Hey everybody, welcome to the GMG review. Today we're taking a look at Warhammer, the Age of Sigmar, Chaos Battletome, The Disciples of Tzeentch. This is the latest incarnation of this sucker right here. Disciples of Tzeentch, the previous Battletome, of course, ironically a bit thicker, weirdly enough, and chock full of chaos, demon-y goodness. This is always a popular army in AOS, mostly for the ability to control casting and dispelling, and being able to just dish out a ton of mortal wounds. I'll be honest, Tzeentch demons since even 6th edition, like Ravening Hordes Warhammer Fantasy Battle, have always kind of been a horrifying army. The Tzeentch Chaos Lord, the Tzeentch Demon Prince, the ability to buy casting dice with your banners back then. Oh my gosh. So many horror stories of Tzeentch casting. So what do we got here? Well, actually a slightly reduced page count battle tome, but the main core thrust of this is it really does do that same streamlining we've been seeing in all these battle tomes, where they've pulled out all of these like pages and pages of like faction specific rules. You get one faction buff basically depending on your cult that you're in now, and then the amount of like command traits and special demon only or mortal only stuff has been greatly reduced as well. So total page count for this one is 112 pages, including their allies, and we got a full color section, of course, talking about what's going on with Tzeentch and the Children of Change, their dealings in the realm of metal in particular, where they're, you know, getting, what's the word, tricksy, I guess, is the thing that typically happens with Tzeentch, and of course, how they've been going through the Necroquake, and then of course, with the releasing of Kragnos and all of the stuff happening in Gore, what their sort of like involvement and stuff is in there too. The different hosts or cults that you can join, and then a background bit on all of the different factions, demons within. I do like, the art has gotten appropriately weird. Like, it's still digital art, you know what I mean? Like, I can always kind of tell, because there's no brush strokes on that. This has been done digitally. These are digital brush strokes. It's cool and stuff. It's appropriately weird. I love the, like, I think it's like a Changeling hood almost there with like the stars and stuff in it. It's got a real like galactic feel to it. But this is my favorite stuff right here. This kind of old school punk rock pen and ink chiaroscuro like Curse City artwork that they keep firing in here is, I want more of that, more of that. I know it's also done digitally, don't get me wrong. I understand that these are both being done on computers and that people sitting around linseed oil and crushed pigment is a thing of the past, and I need to live with that. But I don't know. There's something more. There's more physicality to this, I think, that I really like, versus these big like murals and stuff that, I don't know, they feel soulless and tepid to me. So going through all the different unit types, some of the new models. Obviously, the Curseling came out recently, and it was part of the Arcane, the one with the Lumineth in it, the Arcane Assault or something like that. Box set to go along with all these classic ones, Silver Tower Zangors, Kairos, and the new-ish plastic Lord of Change. And of course there's going to be the customary painting guide moving forward here with lots of different ways of painting. Using contrast paints, of course, specifically, because contrast paints are where it's at for painting light skins, and books, you know what I mean? Like, you can just do a pale base coat on everything and then throw down things like these light blues, beiges, and then accent with just gold and other washes. You could probably, like this one, you can see it's been done with lead belcher. They've just lead belchered this and then done the whole thing with washes. That's a very smart, quick way. If I was going to paint a Tzeentch army, I'd probably do the same thing, because you can get away with a ton of washes and contrast paints. All right, we're into the rules. Let's jump in. So I've gone through and already marked up with my red pen this battle tome to find like the grand thrust of sort of what's different. So the things that are different: Angle of the check marks basically the same. Master Destiny is basically the same. Locus of Change is the same. Change Covens are the same names, right? You pick one and give it a subfaction name. All the summoning is exactly the same. Fate point costs haven't changed at all. The few new things that are in the actual Allegiance abilities are to start off with Arcane Armies. They're trying to encourage you to use your endless spells. So before the battle starts, the first battle round, After players have received their starting command points, one of your wizards just gets to cast one of your endless spells. The faction one's Burning Sigil, Tome of Eyes, or Demonic Simulacrum. Can't be unbound and can't be dispelled in the first battle round. Just set it up as described. Just bam, free endless spell. I mean, for a faction that doesn't have terrain, I kind of like that. I wish more of the factions got a free, like, it's a reason to take them. If you get them for free, why not? You know what I mean? If it's just going to be like on the table giving you a bonus at the beginning, it's the I don't have a faction terrain feature equivalent of a terrain feature. So cool, more of that, please. Legions of Chaos, and this is kind of aping after the Megakin. Disciples of Tzeentch army can include coalition units. Up to 2 in every 4 units can be Slaves of Darkness with the Mark of Tzeentch keyword, and 1 in every 4 unit can be a Beast of Chaos with the Mark of Tzeentch keyword. So no Khorne or Nurgle keywords in your army. So that's not like, that makes sense. They're kind of opposed to Tzeentch. But nice that it's just in there as a coalition thing now, which brings it up to 3rd edition language. You can take them as allies before, obviously. Actually, in the previous book, I think just anything with the Mark of Tzeentch could be in the army, but didn't really take part. Now there's like a full coalition description. And they're ignored for determining your faction, obviously. And then transformed into spawn. If a model is transformed into a spawn, you can add a Tzeentch Chaos spawn that has 1 model to your army, set up the Tzeentch Chaos spawn within 1 inch of the model that's been transformed, and remove it from play. There's obviously some weapons and stuff that can do that. All right, enhancements. Arch Sorcerer, Nexus of Fate, Cult Demagogue, and Arcane Sacrifice, all the same. Didn't notice any differences. New ones, so there's some that are gone. So some of your favorites, obviously like the plus save one. There's a couple surviving ones that are super popular. They just nixed them. Replaced by Soulburn. If the unmodified hit roll for an attack with a melee weapon by this general is a 6, causes a mortal wound. In addition to normal damage. That's pretty popular. And then Illusionist, subtract 1 from hit rolls for attacks target the general. Cool. No bonus to your save anymore, but you can be -1 to hit. Obviously, with that not stacking and going past -1, that's a bit capped, but still useful. And then the demon ones are all the same. Arch Sorcerer, Demon Spark, Nexus of Fate, and Corporeal Form are all exactly the same. Fated Artifacts. Change Blade is the same. Time Slip Pen is the same, except you strike last now. You don't just get to fight twice immediately, which is a bit of a debuff. Demon Heart is the same, except that the unit suffers a number of mortal wounds equal to the number of the current battle round. It used to think just be 3. Now it's, if you wait to use it once per battle, you just charge in it, and turn 5, you're like, bam, 5 mortal wounds, which could be pretty clutch if you use it at the right time. And then new ones, Ambitions End. Once per battle at the start of your hero phase, you can pick an enemy wizard within 1 of the bearer, and they suffer a number of mortal wounds equal to the current battle round. So there's 2 of those things in here. In addition, that wizard cannot attempt to unbind spells in your next hero phase. So only works if there's enemy wizards on the table, but some armies, everyone's a wizard. You know what I mean? Like playing against Soulblight Gravelords, it's pretty cool. Just walk over and be like, you're a 5/1/1 vampire. Last turn, you're dead. Secret Eater. Pick one of the bearer's weapons. An unmodified hit roll for the attack. Maybe that weapon's a 6. And you have fewer than 9 Destiny dice, you can roll a dice and add your Destiny dice pool. So there's a lot of caveats in here about that, where just actually even with Kairos and stuff like that, you can't ever have more than 9 dice. So it always says if you have less than 9 dice, you get a new die. Otherwise, you don't. And then Spiteful Shield is the one replacing the save bonus one. If the unmodified save roll for an attack made with the melee weapon targets the bearer is a 6, the attacking unit suffers 2 mortal wounds after all of its attacks are resolved. So a bounce back from mortal wounds. And then the demonic treasures, Warpfire Blade, Blade of Fate, Pyrostaff Stave are all the same. And then these new ones, the Beacon of Mutability, add 1 to wound rolls for attacks made with melee weapons that target, bi-friendly Disciples of Tzeentch demons that are wholly within 9. So a melee bonus for a shooting army, but still +1 to wound for everybody within 9. And it's not, it is holy, so you need to be like in the middle of the unit to do it. The Nine-Eyed Tome, reroll casting and dispelling and unbinding rolls for the bearer. And then the Eternal Shroud, if the bearer's on the battlefield, roll a dice each time you spend a Destiny dice and a 5+. You can roll a die and add to your Destiny dice pool. So basically a 5+ Destiny dice refund. The Nine-Eyed Tome and the Eternal Shroud are going to be pretty popular, I think. All right, Lore of Fate. A lot of these, again, exactly the same as previous with some minor changes. So Arcane Suggestions is the same with the exception of it's Hopeless has changed. It's not Mortal Wounds anymore. It's you can't issue or receive commands. And then Shield of Fate's changed to being a ward safe now. So it's a 6-up ward, 5-up ward, and then a 5-up ward, and then a spell shrug, basically, a 4+ ignore effect for spells. Glimpse the Future is now the same caveat. If you have less than 9 dice, you get a die. And then Infusion of Arcanum and Treacherous Bond. The big thing in Treacherous Bond has to be Tzeentch Mortal. So not just friendly units, can only be Tzeentch Mortal units. It's a small distinction, but a bit changed. And then Bolt of Tzeentch is the same. All the demon ones are exactly the same. There's no change at all. Treason, Unchecked Mutation, Fold Reality, Tzeentch's Firestorm and Bolt of Tzeentch. Again, with Bolt of Tzeentch, you can't cast both, even though they're both in both lores. Exactly the same, no changes at all. All right, so here's some changes. Changes to the change covens. Obviously, all of them fitting. This is the page count thing, right? There was like 6 bifold pages of these before. There's just one set of pages basically for all of them because it's just one new ability. But it also means you're not locked into taking whatever their command trait is, their artifact, or whatever. Some people feel like this is a reduction in stuff. I feel like the problem with the subfaction stuff before is because it locked you into like a certain type of thing. You lost choice. It made the common items and traits less viable, which I think is actually having common like traits and artifacts and stuff in AOS is really powerful because it means that you can balance them easier, right? When one gets out of whack, it balances everybody all at once, as opposed to waiting for a book. Basically, short story long, I'm fine with this streamlining. It's been happening all over AOS, and I'm totally fine with it. So Eternal Conflagration, improve the rank characteristic of Warp Flame, Billowing Warp Flame, and Magical Flames by 1 in the army. The Host's Duplicitous, the ranks of Mysterious Mirages. Enemy units within 3 of a friendly Host Duplicitous unit with 10 or more models cannot retreat. In addition, once per battle, when a Host Duplicitous Horrors of Tzeentch unit from your army is destroyed, roll a die. On a 4+, add a new unit with 5 models to your army. Set them up wholly within 12 of a hero and more than 9 from enemy units. So a recycle once per battle for a unit. It's kind of like a call to arms for Stormcast. Host Arcanum, Thieves of all things sorcery, once per turn in the first, third, and 5th battle rounds. When a friendly Host Arcanum Wizard attempts to unbind a spell, you can choose for that spell to be automatically unbound. Just 2/6 roll. So basically 3 times per game an auto unbind. That's, I mean, if you're going to take any of them, that feels like the most potentially useful, apart from just the raw death of getting extra rend. Cult of Transient Form, the gift of change, the change gift. Roll dice each time a friendly Cult of the Transient Form Carrick Acolyte model is slain. On a 2 to 5, before removing that model, they can fight. On a 6, before removing the model, you can add a Zangor model to a friendly Zangor host unit within 9, because they changed into a Zangor, apparently. The new model can be set up within 3 if the unit's already within 3. So if you're going to lean into, and again, this is my commentary is kind of for the end about all this, but in this current battlescape where like the pitch battle profiles are all about your core units and stuff, having anything that buffs your core units, like the Host Duplicitous and the Cult of the Transient Form, where you get kind of like a bonus to getting those back. Although the Host Duplicitous not really, because it's not a starting unit coming back. It won't count for a lot of things because you won't be veterans. Or Galician veterans. The Cult of the Transient Form, upping your Galician veterans units, being able to recycle your Carrick Acolytes into your Zangor units, could be useful. And then Pyrophane Cult. Add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made with Sorcerer's Bolts by friendly Pyrophane Cult Carrick Acolyte units. In addition, at the end of the shooting phase, roll dice for each enemy unit that suffered any wounds. On a 5+, they take D3 more wounds. Because basically they start changing into dudes, into other cult members. And then the Guild of Summoners. Scions of the Exiled. If your army has the Guild of Summoners keyword, your fate points can only be used to summon Lord of Change units. What? Instead of fate point cost of 30, however, a Guild of Summoners Lord of Change costs 9 fate points to summon the first time, 18 to summon the second time, and each time thereafter. In addition, Lord of Change units summoned in this way must be set up wholly within 9 of a Guild of Summoners Arcanite hero and more than 9 from enemy units. So, I don't know what to think about that one. I mean, it almost so the first one's only 9 fate points to cast, and then 18. So you're getting 2 Lords of Change effectively for the cost of summoning 1, because it's 27. Like, it's less than summoning 1 previously with fate points. But it means that you need to like lean into non-Lord of Change units to do so. So like squishy or lower level guys. But and again, they're not monsters in the, like, monsters don't matter. It's Galician veterans doing everything in this current pitch battle like landscape, right? For the General's Handbook. And monsters are still really good in this edition, and they are monsters, so you're just making monsters basically for nothing. And the way that you accumulate fate points is still basically the same. Let's just go through it one more time. Fate points, Masters of Destiny, battle traits, locus of change, change covens, summons each units. You can summon each time a casting roll is successful and it's not unbound, get a fate point. And that's it. So you basically need to cast 9 spells to summon your first Lord of Change. Each time a caster roll is successful and the spell's not unbound, you receive a fate point. That means including the free one you make at the beginning of the game. So you're going to start the game with a fate point. You don't just get them. If you have any fate points at the end of your movement phase, you can summon one unit from your list below and out to your army. So you only summon one unit per turn. Each unit you summon costs a number of fate points to the list. You can only summon it if you have enough fate points to do so. It must be set to play within 9 of a friendly disciples in each hero and not within 9 of the enemy. So you got to cast a lot. You got to cast 9 spells, including the free one you get from your thing at the beginning of the game. But that's a lot less than 30 spells to get a Lord of Change in. I mean, could you do a turn 1? I don't know, but it makes summoning them a lot more easy because now you just get them when you cast spells, which I completely forgot to mention because that's the way you spend them is the same, but the way you accumulate them is, I think, is quite different because previously it was, I think there was other ways of getting them, and there was a bunch of traits that allowed you to get them as well. Master of Destiny, Change Covens. No, it's the same. Each time a caster roll is made by friend or foe. Maybe that's what I was thinking of. It might just be by friend now. Nope, just each time a caster roll is successful. So both sides. Yeah, it's still both sides. Yeah, it's exactly the same. It didn't change at all. So 9 spells on both sides to make a Lord of Change, or a Lord of Change the first time with that one. So I see that one being popular just because on the surface, it's kind of super crazy powerful. So you're going to have 1 point for free from your endless spell, and then yes. On turn 2, you could bring a Keeper of Secrets in. Looking at your Path to Glory stuff, all the Fate Legions. Again, I'm kind of sad War Scroll Battalions are sort of gone. Like they just don't do, like you can't use them really anymore. You have your other battalions, they're these ones, the core battalions. This is the new stuff. So let's talk about match play. Grand strategies. You've got your Dominate Arcane Nexus. When the battle ends, if you complete this grand strategy, if there's at least one friendly wizard, Horrors of Tzeentch, or Carrick Acolyte unit wholly within each quarter of the battlefield. So just have a unit in every quarter, and you get 3 victory points. Master of Destiny. When the battle ends, add the rolls of any Destiny dice that you've not used. You get this if it's total 9 or more. So if you just save 2 Destiny dice that add to 9 or more, you get 3. There's no way to stop it. Sure, you could be tempted, but it's a gimmick ability that allows you to modify dice anyway. I would just take 2 Destiny dice and stick them on one side and be like, I have 3 extra victory points. I don't know why you wouldn't just take that one. I mean, I get that like rolling 9 dice, you might not roll a 9 and a 3, or a 6 and a 3, or a 4 and a 5, but you also might, or like a bunch of 1s. Yeah, because if you don't want 1s, although sometimes you do want 1s, I don't know. I just feel like it's so easy to do, why would you not just take it? Preponderance of Fate. When the battle ends, you complete this grand strategy if you have more than 27 unspent Fate points. I would never do that, because why not take free units? And then Realm Magic. When the battle ends, you complete this grand strategy if there's 2 or more endless spells in the battlefield and under your control. I don't know why you wouldn't just take Master of Destiny and just YOLO everything else. And then Battle Tactics. Call for Change. Complete this tactic if you summon Lord of Change this turn. Sure. Yeah, okay. So if I go into the turn with 9 points and I've taken that 1 unit, bam, here comes my Lord of Change. They lean into each other really hard. Mass Conjuration. Pick a friendly disciples of Tzeentch wizards. You complete this battle tactic if you successfully cast 3 or more spells in that turn and none are unbound. So first turn Mass Conjuration, count the endless spell summon, and then just count 2 more spells. That feels like the way to do it. Because I'm pretty sure, yeah, because Summon Endless Spell is a spell. Someone does it in the army as part of that Master of the Arcane. And let me just double check. I mean, I'm 99% sure it said pick a model. Pick a friendly wizard on the battlefield. They can automatically cast a spell that they know that summons a Burning Sigil, Tome of Eyes, or Demonic Simulacrum Endless Spell. Yep, so you just get that one too. Turn 1, and then just cast 2 more spells. One of your big casters takes that, and then you just cast 2 little easy spells afterwards. 9 full dismantlement. Pick an enemy hero that has 9 or more models, or pick an enemy hero for monster with the wounds characteristic of 9 or more. Complete this battle tactic if that unit's destroyed. So kill a hero monster for 1. Reckless Abandon. Pick a friendly mortal disciples of Tzeentch unit from your army that's more than 18 from the enemy. You complete this battle tactic if they complete a charge move in the turn. So a fast-moving mortal unit in your army? I don't know. You could just take a coalition unit of marauders with the Mark of Tzeentch and throw them at the enemy. Again, there's a lot of ways like building into 5 battle tactics you can just kind of automatically do. And then Tides of Anarchy, you complete this battle tactic if you gain control of an objective that was controlled by your opponent at the start of the hero phase, and you have more than 9, you have 9 or more friendly models than 6 of the objective when you gain control of it. So basically clear an objective and run over 9 guys to take it. And then your core battalion, the Omniscient Oracles. It's gotta be Kairos and at least 3 Lords of Change. I mean, cool, and you get Magnificent. Get an extra enhancement for 20 Lords of Change. So it's just Kairos and 3 Lords of Change. It's a weird core battalion. That's your only ability. You just get Magnificent. I mean, why not? Sure, why not take a, oh geez, I don't know, what's that, a 1200 point core battalion? All right, Kairos, what did he get? 2 extra wounds, that's cool. His brackets halved, so he doesn't bracket until 6 wounds instead of 3. Oracle of Eternity changed. Basically, if you have 9 or fewer dice, then you can add the Destiny dice. And then Mastery of Magic, the exact same. If you roll a d6, the lowest matches the highest. And then Spell Thief is now different. It's not Spell Eater anymore. This is the same for the other Lord of Change. This unit successfully dispels an endless spell. Instead of dispelling it, you just gain control of it, and you kind of haven't cast it until someone else steals it. You've got Mastery Magic. Sorry, Infernal Gateway has replaced your previous Hurdy spell. It casts on 7, has a range of 18. If cast, pick an enemy unit visible within range and roll 9 dice. They suffer mortal wound for each roll that is greater than the Infernal Gateway value of their damage table. So starts on a 3. 9 dice, 3 plus mortal wounds when he's healthy. Holy crap, holy. It's not a lot of difference, but he's his Hurdy. He flies still. He casts and unbinds 3. Everybody gets +1 to cast and dispel and unbind for guys with 18 of him. He knows all the spells from Lord of Change as opposed to knowing spells that the other people are eligible to cast. So you can't cast other people's summon endless spells, but that doesn't really matter. Lord of Change, his brackets change, Spell Thief, and Infernal Gateway as well. So he's just doesn't have the Kairos bonuses, but everything else is pretty much the same. Cast 2, unbind 2. All those other stats looked identical. 2 less move for the Fate Skimmer, but +1 save was a change. Cast spawns is the same. For the most part, there's not a lot of change through these. There's a few like minor changes to like some abilities, like their spells and stuff like that, to bring them in line with the other spells. So like the Flux Master still casts on 9 dice, but it's casting 8 instead of 7 now. Sorry, instead of 5 now. Yeah, it's 8 instead of 5, and it's 9 dice on a 5+. The enemy suffers a mortal wound, and the caster's army receives a fate point. So for every 5+ on 9 dice, you also get fate points. Like, there's a bunch of ways of making fate points tied in here now that are pretty great. The Changeling. Oh, Arcane Tome, sorry, is now once per battle reroll 1 casting roll for this unit. If you do so, add 3 to your casting roll, which is kind of neat. So again, he'd be a good one too, because he casts 1 and unbinds 1. He's a good one to be like your builder for points. But again, 4+ save 6 wounds. Sorry, save 1 up as well. 4+ save 6 wounds, and you know, if he's the one, he could just get singled out if he's the one trying to make or summon your super cheap what's it, Lord of Change. The Changelings, basically core stats exactly the same. Nothing changed there. Puckish Misdirection is the same. Yep. Arch Deceiver, the same. Cast 2, unbind 2. Doesn't have his own bespoke spell anymore. That one's gone. Change Caster. Again, identical core stats. Cast 1, unbind 1. Pink Fire is now casting 7, range 18. Pick an enemy unit within range invisible, subtract 1 from save rolls. His Arcane Tome's the same. It's the same as the change for the Flux Master one. And he lost Fortune and Fate. That's gone. So no more casting an extra spell. Blue Scribes. I think they also slowed down but got a better save. Nope. Nope, they just got a better save. Didn't slow down at all. So 4+ instead of a 5+. Other core stats are the same. Flies, casts 1 and binds 1. Yeah. Frantic Skirmling, they lost Boon to Tzeentch, so no Boon to Tzeentch anymore. That spell's gone. Again, a lot of like getting rid of like the kind of specialty bits and pieces and just having the core spells from the list be the only core spells that are in the army. But they do have, if this army is part of a Disciples of Tzeentch army, each time an enemy wizard within 9 of the unit successfully casts a spell, and that spell is not unbound, you can roll a die on a 3+, get a bonus fate point. So you get 2 fate points instead of 1 when a spell gets cast on unbound. Horrors, all right, so man, horrors are like my least favorite unit because they have so many rules. Core stats are identical still, 5s and 4s, 4s actually for talent hands now. They're a little bit better in melee. And then your iridescent horrors have 6 shots with their iridescent flames, or magical flames. Then it's pink, blue, and brimstone. And then, yeah, when you pick this army, you must decide if you'll be split and split again or petty vengeance. You can't have both. So you get one or the other of the two rules. So if you choose split and split again, each time an iridescent horror or pink horror in this model is slain by a wound or mortal wound, doesn't count as having been slain, but must immediately remove it from play and replace it with 2 blue horrors. Each time a blue horror in this unit would be slain by a wound or mortal wound, doesn't count as being slain, and must immediately be removed for a brimstone horror that's added to the unit. So you can have the classic split and split again. And then petty vengeances. If a model in that unit is slain, you can pick an enemy unit within 1 and roll a die. If it's roll higher than a petty vengeance roll, then they take a mortal wound. Which, I'll be honest, I like that a lot. I like that it's either or. It means you don't have to keep track of like infinitely cascading models and you can just have them do damage. They could do that before, but it was always on a 5. Now it's on a 3+. And I think it's still one or the other. It was... yeah, now it's one or the other. Now it's not both. So I kind of like that. If their battle ability is like, keep it simple, the petty vengeance just feels way easier to manage on the table. And they made it more powerful, like in contrast, right? So it's not just on a 5, it's on a 3 to start. Burning Chariots of Tzeentch. I think they're pretty much the same. They've totally reorganized the book, so it's kind of hard to find everything. +1 save. Yeah, everybody got a 4+ save. For the most part, Screamers saves. Core stats stayed the same though. But they hit on 3s instead now. Slashing Fins. They lost Sky Sharks, so no more monster damage. But when you go over it, for each model in the unit, you take a 4+ mortal wound, or cause a 4+ mortal wound for your models. Burning Chariots, core stats have changed not at all from what I can see. I guess, actually, sorry, Flaming Maw now hits on 4s. So slightly better in melee. Hit on 3s with the Lamprey Bites. So a bit stabbier. Only 4 attacks instead of 6 now with the shooting. 4s and 3s -1d3 damage. So a little less shooty, a little more fighty, which is good because, I mean, honestly, like, the problem with leaning too hard into being too good at one thing as an army is it makes the army just super one-dimensional. It's not as exciting to play. It's not as fun to play something that only does one thing really well. Exalted Flamer went up to 4+ save, sorry. Also lost 2 shots. But then gained a 4+ to hit in melee. You can issue and receive commands by themselves. I wanted the hit rolls for attacks made with this unit's ability Warp Flame if the target has 5 or more models. But they lost Touched by Fire. Yeah, so no more mortal wounds on top of just regular damage. But they're probably down in cost. I haven't compared the costs yet, but I'm guessing they're down in cost. And then your Flamers... core stats, 1 up by 1 for saves, so 4+ save instead of 5s. Guns are exactly the same, and they hit better in melee, so 3s and 4s as opposed to 5s and 3s. Capricious Warp Flame still adds 1 to hit for 5 more models. So just way easier to get the bonus now, because it used to be +1 if it was 10 or more, and then +2 if it was 20 or more. Now it's just always +1 at 5. And then Guided, +1 attack for Warp Flame while it's wholly within 9 of any friendly Exalted Flamers or Burning Chariots, because the leader makes them shootier. The Gaunt Summoner. Oh my god, it's all over the place. Masters, Gaunt Summoners, where are you at, Gaunt Summoner? Just trying to remember if anything's changed. Oh my god. This whole book. Blue Scribes. It's all so like... There we go. So it's back at the beginning. So for your Chariot, still a 16, 4+ save. Still a 6+ on foot though, but 4+ save on the Chariot now. Same shooting gun, except it's 3s and 3s now, as opposed to 4s and 4s. Teeth and horns. You lost your staff of change. You just have a warp tongue blade and teeth and horns. Interesting. So 2 3s and 3s. Better in melee. 3s and 3s minus 1 d3 damage, and then d3 4s and 3s minus 1 damage, as opposed to 6. So a little less fighty, to be honest. Oh no, I'm looking at a Fate Skimmer. I'm looking at completely the wrong thing. God damn it. Gaunt Summoner. He's not even the same page? Oh, there's just no Gaunt Summoner on disc here. Because you could just give him a disc? What am I looking? Why can't I find him? Oh, I guess there's just one on a disc now. Weird. Maybe this is a new model? Yeah, because there's no Gaunt Summoner on disc that I can find. There's just a Gaunt Summoner in the old book. Oh, I'm just an idiot, and I was looking at completely the wrong thing. I was looking at the next page over, assuming they were on 2 pages together, but it was the Fate Skimmer I was looking at. The core Gaunt Summoner is the same, it looks like. 3+, 3s and 3s minus 1 damage. Better to wound by 1. Warp Tongue Blade is 3s and 3s as well, minus 2 d3 damage, so much better in melee. Infernal Flames still casts on 7. It looks like it's identical, but it's 5 dice against Monsters and War Machines instead of 1 now. Silvered Portal, you can still put up 2 units in reserve. Oh, sorry, Silver Portal has replaced Book of Profane Secrets, it looks like. Yeah, Book of Profane Secrets is now add 1 to casting, dispelling, and binding rolls, and know all the spells from Lore of Fate. Yeah, and then instead of like auto summoning a unit now, it's Silvered Portal is you can put people in reserve. After you deploy this unit, when you would set up another friendly Tzeentch unit that's not a monster, you can say it's in the Silver Tower as a reserve unit instead. And then you can set them up anywhere on the table, wholly within 9 of this unit and more than 9 friendly units. At the start of the 4th battle round, they're destroyed. So he becomes like a locust basically to bring guys in. And then Lords of the Silver Tower. Once you're battle at the end of the phase, you can pick an enemy hero that's within 9 and make an attack that targeted this unit in that phase or cause any mortal wounds to this unit with an ability or spell. If you use so, roll 2d6. If the roll is greater than the wounds characteristic of the hero, it's removed from play. That's funny. You just bamf a unit that hurt you, basically. And then, yeah, the one on disc is just 16-inch move. He still casts 2 Unbind 2. He's got an extra wound, 4+ save. And then the Teeth and Horns attacks. Book of Profane Secrets the same. Silver Tower's the same. Silver Portal's the same. Infernal Flames is the same. Oof, weird. I don't know why I can't. He must be in this book, but I just can't find him. Or maybe it's just like a mount? No, there's nothing in there about it. Weird. Magister. I like this miniature a lot, actually. With his weird bug eyes. His extra spider eyes. Magister. He is 4+ save now, so increased his save. Tzeentchian Rune Staff for his gun. 3s and 4s, d3 damage. His Warp Steel Sword. 1 shot, 4s and 4s, 1 damage. The same. Teeth and Horns, d3 shots, or d3 attacks, 4s and 3s minus 1 d3 damage. Exactly the same. Bolt to Change. Still d3 mortal wounds, and if you kill him, make a spawn. Magic Touched looks pretty much the same. If the first casting attempt made by this unit is successful and it's not unbound, this unit can attempt to cast an extra spell that phase. And if you do so, the casting roll for that extra spell is a double, it immediately fails and this unit's slain. It's so funny. Or you can choose him to be made into a spawn. The Curseling, he's identical to on the War Scroll from that 2-player battle box. The Magister, he's got a pretty much identical stat line, it looks like. 4s and 4s, 1 damage, yeah. Cast 1, unbind 1. Bolt to Change is the same as the Magister on Disc of Tzeentch. Magic Touch is the same. Vortimus the All-Seeing. Sounds like a Robert Munch book. Vortimus, be quiet. Same core stats. Yep, Magic Touch is the same as the Magister. Sorceress Insight. Cast on 5, get a command point. They can only be spent by this guy. And then Eyes of the 9, which is the unit that goes with him. Looks pretty much identical. They haven't done much to the Underworld's units. Savage Great Blades. They gave them all an extra attack, though. Vicious Beak, Curse Blade, and Savage Great Blade all went to 2 attacks. Same core stats, though, for them all. And then the Narvi and Turosh got a ward save of 6+. Kachar gets +1 wound. And then split, if the blue horror is playing, it splits into a Brimstone Horror. Fate Master, man, that's an old model now. He's got a 3+ save, that's cool. Lost his hovering disc of Tzeentch. He just flies now. And has his teeth and horns, which are the same. Lord of Fate, add 1 to wound rolls for Disciples of Tzeentch units wholly within 9 of this unit. That's pretty great. So just +1 to wound, including with your shooting. That's a reason to take a Fate Master. Just a +1 to wound aura. And then a 4+ ignore spell effects for Soulbound Shield. But yeah, no hovering disc of Tzeentch roll anymore. He doesn't get the bonus against guys on foot. Oh, what did I skip? I skipped the Ogroid Thamaturge, which is probably one of the coolest fantasy models I think GW's ever made. It's a 4+ save now. Great Horns are identical. Thaumaturgic Staff is identical. And yeah, he looks the same. Berserk Rage is replacing Brutal Range. +1 hit and wounds if he's had any wounds or allocated or mortal wounds allocated to them earlier in the phase. So he just gets crazy if you attack him. Still casts 1 on binds 1. He lost Mighty Rampage though. And Choking Tendrils is still cast on 7, range 18. You takes D6 mortal wounds and heal a wound if you cause any mortal wounds with them. For each model it's slain, sorry. So you want to target 1 wound units. Zangor Shaman. He is still got a Sorcerous Elixir, still has his Boon of Tzeentch, or Boon of Mutation, sorry. But lost Visions of the Future. Yep. Lost Vision of the Future, so no more like past and future for this guy. His core stats are 4+ save now is the big change. Staff of Change looks pretty much identical. Cast 1 and bind 1. Once for battle in the hero phase, cast an extra spell and add 3 to it with a Sorcerous Elixir, and then Boon of Mutation. Cast on 7, range 18. Pick a enemy unit in range invisible, and they take D3 mortal wounds. For each model that's slain by a mortal wound caused by the spell, you can add a Zangor unit model that is not a Zangor champion or mutant to a friendly Zangor host unit within 12. So bring back basic guys. Skyfires. All right, Skyfires, the most popular of shooting units. Zangor Skyfires. That's the Shaman Enlightened on discs. Why am I not seeing Skyfires? Oh, because they're back here. Okay. 4+ save now instead of 5+. That's cool. Arrows are single shot, 4s and 3s, -1 D3 damage. Guided by the future. Ignore negative mods to hit or wound rolls for attacks made with this missile weapon. If this unit by this unit, ignore positive modifiers for save rolls for attacks made with missile weapons by this unit. So no arcane shield, no all defense against it. You can never have any minuses to hit or wounds. You're always hitting on 4s and 3s. But it's only negative modifiers. So you can still get your own positive modifiers, you just don't suffer negative modifiers. So it's kind of like a very specific version of like the Night Haunt no rend rule. It's not ignore all modifiers, it's ignore these specific modifiers, which is handy. And the Enlightened on Foot and the Enlightened on Discs of Tzeentch. Enlightened on Foot are 4+ save now, that's cool. 3 attacks, 4s and 3s, -1, 2 damage, still the same. Babbling Stream of Secrets. Enemy within 3 can't receive commands. That's cool. Guided by the Past. Add 1 to wound rolls for attacks made with melee weapons by friendly units in this ability if you're taking the second turn in the current battle round. And it does not affect your mount. And then the ones on discs are, same thing but extra wound and 16-inch move. And that's it except for Zangors and Kyric Acolytes. All right, so Zangors themselves looking like they're the same. Obviously a ward save now for the shield, 6 up ward. Just change the language on it. Add 1 of the attack characteristics of Vicious Vicious Beak so they make a charge move in the same turn for their savagery. And Ornate Totems, while the unit includes any icon bearers at the start of your hero phase, you can pick an enemy unit within 18 of this unit invisible to it and roll 1 dice for each wizard that's within 9. On a 4+, the unit you picked suffers a mortal wound. So basically, the more wizards you stack next to your totem, the more 4+ mortal wounds you can do to a wizard with an 18 of that totem. Because you just, like, steal their magic and blast it back. That's funny. And who is a wizard in your army? Nobody in here. And then Kayak Acolytes. Tell me you're great. Be great. Same core stats. Cursed Glaives are 4s and 3s, -1/2 damage. The same. Cursed Blades. It's either 2 attacks, 3s and 3s, 1 damage for the pair, or 1 attack, 4s and 3s, 1 damage for the guy with the shield. And if it's none or more models, they're a wizard. You got a Scroll of the Dark Arts. 1 in every 10 models can be used to carry a Scroll of the Dark Arts. Add 1 to casting and binding rolls while they have any. And then the Volkark. 1 in every 10 models can be a Volkark. If an enemy wizard, it casts a spell with an 18. Roll a die on a 4+. They take 1 mortal wound after the effect's been resolved. But it's any Volkark, so it's just any number of them does 1. Arcanite Shields give you a 6+ save, and then just Gestalt Sorcery. Cast on 6, range 9. Pick a friendly Kayak Acolyte unit wholly within range, and increase the range or the rend of their Sorcerer's Bolts by 1. So they still shoot pretty well. All right, and your free mortal, so this is now your terrain basically. This is your free spell. So Burning Sigil, cast on 5, range 18. Radiant Transmogrification. At the end of the movement phase, roll a die for each unit within 9 of the endless spell. On a 4+, the unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. If any models were slain by this spell, before moving the slain model, the commanding player of the model that summoned this endless spell can add a Tzeentch Chaos Spawn to their army and set up within 3. So, at the end of the movement phase, roll dice for each unit within 9. They take D3 mortal wounds on a 4+, and if if you manage to get this Burning Sigil Tzeentch within range of multiple 1 wound units, half the time they take D3 mortal wounds, and you get to make a number of, you get to make a mortal, as long as you kill at least 1 model, you get to make a new Chaos Spawn every turn. Tome of Eyes, cast on 5, range of 1 inch, so you just put down next to you basically. Only Disciples Tzeentch wizards can do it. A wizard can garrison, in a garrison cannot attempt to summon it, and you can garrison this thing. Linked. After the model that summoned the endless spell is moved, remove the endless spell from the battlefield and set it up again within 1 of that model because it follows you around. It's kind of like the pot for the Grots. Transfixed by Countless Eyes. You can reroll casting rolls for models that summon this endless spell while it's on the battlefield. And the Parchment Curse is a spell that is known by this model that summoned this endless spell, so you get a free spell. If cast, it's cast 8, range 18. If cast, pick an enemy unit within range invisible and roll a die on a 3+, they take D3 mortal wounds. In addition, for each model slain, subtract 1 from the bravery for the rest of the battle. So you can take them to bravery 0. Again, pretty great. And then, you're rerolling all your casts, and you have this murder spell that reduces leadership. Demonic Simulacrum, cast on 7, range 12. It is predatory and moves 9, and after it moves, roll 9 dice for the close unit within 6. If more than one unit's equally close, the commanding player chooses which one, and for each 5+, take a mortal wound. If the unit's a wizard, it's a 4+ instead of a 5. I don't know, Tome of Eyes is a pretty great free spell. You can make more models, you can cast better and get a really cool kill spell, which reduces bravery, or you can just straight up kill. All right, in the Pitch Battle profiles, interestingly enough, these were updated July of 2022. It's September, October almost. So it's interesting that this is their, maybe this is the original publication date for this book. I don't really know. But something's up, something's down. Kayak Acolyte's up to 120. Zangor's at 175, down from I think 180 previously in the book. Although I have the old book in front of me. I don't have the General's Handbook in front of me, so these might be the same even as those. Blue Scribe's at 160, Changecaster at 140, Changeling's 160, Curseling's 180, Fate Master's 145, the Fate Skimmer is at 180, the Flux Master's 170, the Gaunt Summoner's 235, Disc one's 275, which seems spendy because he doesn't make units anymore. Let me double check I read that right, because that seems very high for just giving you the ability to redeploy 2 units, and if he dies, they don't ever come back. Where are you at, Gaunt Summoner? You can slay someone Lord of the Silver Tower, Silvered Portal, after you've deployed this unit. When you would set up another friendly Tzeentch that isn't a monster, you can say that it's in the Silver Tower's reserve. Up to 2 units can be set up this way. And they have to be deployed within 9 of this unit and more than 9 from the enemy. Yeah, the Silver Portal doesn't make any unit anymore, so it doesn't seem like it's maybe, for a 6 wound guy, 275, he has no damage mitigation, cast 2, unbind 2. I don't really know. His Infernal Flames is great if you're fighting against big units. But that seems spendy. Magister's 120, Disc of Tzeentch is 145, Thamaturge is 175, Shaman's 135. Vortimus and the Eyes of the Nine are 165, still pretty cheap. Kairos is 435 and the Lord of Change is 400, meaning that it was 1,635 points to take his battalion. 1,635 points. And for 9 summoning points, you're making a 400-point model. Burning Chariot of Tzeentch is 180, Exalted Flamers are 130, Flamers are 190. And their battle line and a Conflagration army. Actually, that's interesting. Let's talk about what is battle line. Battle line of the Generals of Fate Skimmer for the Burning Chariots. Horrors of Tzeentch is battle line if the unit contains no blue horrors and no brimstone horrors. If the unit contains no pink horrors, change the point value to 150. If the unit contains no pink horrors and no blue horrors, change it to 125. So you can split up all your units now, and you can have them split down for 250. And if they don't turn into anything, then they're only like they're way less expensive basically. Screamers are battle line and a Host Arcanum army for 100 points. And then Enlightened are 95, Enlightened and Disc of Tzeentch are 180, and Skyfires are 90. 95 for Enlightened on foot is pretty cheap. Spawns are 85 points. Sigil's 50, Simulacrum 60, and Tome of Eyes is 40, which makes them relatively inexpensive for rounding out your stuff and getting a free spell. I think Tome is like an automatic. Like, why not just have Tome now? And then, depending on what you want to do, the Demonic one's more killy, but I like the Burning Sigil for making spawns. There's something to be said for being able to like tie up units by turning them into spawns. I need to look though and see again what faction, because I can't put the names with the rules right now for the hosts. Yeah, Summoners gets no special battle line. Arcanum, Conflagration, and that's it. So Arcanum, which is Host Arcanum, which is the auto unbinds, get your Screamers as a thing, and then Conflagration, which is the plus bonus to shooting one, is the Flamers become extra good, which I mean leans into the idea that you're getting extra run there. So yeah, so a bit of like, I mean, some improvements obviously to starting battle line. So, but I mean, you're talking Karak Acolytes and Zangors, maybe Horrors, so long as it contains no blue horrors and no brimstone horrors, and you're doing the like the basically the pop and do damage at the end of it all for 250. Yeah, and then otherwise, if you're not taking the summon 400 point dudes for 9 fate points, then you can get extra battle lines. So what do we got here? Well, we've got and I guess I don't know, because coalition units never count as battle line. So you can't even really lean into like the Slaves of Darkness stuff either, which kind of sucks, because it'd be cool if you could like pad that out, but they don't count as being battle line in the army or starting battle lines, so you can't use them as Galician veterans. So you're looking at Karak Acolytes or your Zangors as your Galician veterans. There's a few ways to buff them. Obviously, there's the hosts that could help you lean into that as well. But like, I don't think much changes really for Forces of Tzeentch. I think you're still trying to just like alpha out Mortal Wounds and make murder monsters for free. Make 400 point models for free. Because if you can cast 9 spells in a turn, which is by the end of the second turn, including your opponents, just letting your opponent cast, which why wouldn't you? Then you're getting like a 400 point model for free every round. And there's a lot of 2 cast, 3 cast, 4 cast. Like you're just grinding, and you're getting a free cast at the start of the first turn. You're getting a fate point anyways for the first turn. So like the big fate point generators, dudes like the Fluxmaster with blue fire, you could give him the tome, right? And then, yeah, you're just looking at shooting at 5 pluses to also get fate points. So double, like we couldn't cast it twice, I guess. So just Fluxmaster with the tome, he gets the free cast to bring it up. You can re-roll that second cast to do blue fire to make more fate points. Yeah, and if you're not trying to do the battle tactic where you cast 3 spells, then just do that. Otherwise, maybe the Changeling. Although he doesn't have the Arcane Tome. Does anyone have the Arcane Tome that also... Actually, you wouldn't really need it because you'd have the Eyes Tome on you. So just take somebody that casts 2. The +3 is nice, but like, why not just take somebody who has 2 casts? Because you don't want to buy Lords of Change and Kairos really if you're gonna lean into that like summoning thing. Yeah, maybe Changeling for cast 2, and then you could also get that battle tactic in the first turn and have him bring in the thing, or maybe the Summoner. I mean, I don't really see a point in taking a 275.6 wound model, but he does cast 2 Unbind 2, and he's +1 to his casting and Unbinding, and he knows all the spells from Lore of Fate. Yeah, I think I'd still take the one on. I mean, it's more points, but then he can get an extra wound. He can fly away. And he's got a better save. I think you'd always take the disc one, and then that's how you get your first turn off, and then start making fate points. Yeah, you do this. You have him bring on the book, cast his other 2 spells, and then you have him make you more fate points. Because they're going to do everything to try and stop him going first, and then you use the Flux Master to make yourself some more fate points. And you start grinding out spells. And then have all of your care calculates grinding out spells too. So there it is, Disciples of Tzeentch. Again, they haven't changed much. They've kind of just been brought along to 3rd edition. I don't know with the kind of trim battle line selection they have, how well they're going to do against the other sort of more impactful Galician veterans in the current meta, but obviously we're just a few months, like 4 or 5 months away from a new pitch battle book, and of course new strategies and tactics that might lean into not battle line choices again, into something different. And the day that they lean into Wizards will be Tzeentch's day. So there you go. Big thanks for watching. We'll see you for more GMG reviews in the future, and big thanks for GW sending along the complimentary copy to your review. Till then, Mash. Hey there, I hope you enjoyed that video. There are tons of other games already recorded for you to watch. Click over to my channel page if you haven't already, and have a look to the dozens of playlists full of videos. I guarantee you'll discover a game you haven't seen played before. I put out new videos 7 days a week, and every day is themed to a different genre as I continue to explore the wider world of gaming. Of course, none of that's possible without you, the viewer, so click a like and subscribe if you'd like to stay on top of what's happening here daily. My 2 kids and I are massively grateful to be able to have the flexibility of this job so I can always maximize my time with them. If you want to support me continuing to put out this content, it's only possible because of my amazing backers on Patreon who support the studio, equipment, and model cost, as well as being how I make the bulk of my living. You can also help out by buying a t-shirt through Spreadshirt, a measuring gauge or widget from Deathray Designs, or buying one of my games and supplements like Last Days, Gamma Wolves, and Blaster. As a way of showing my appreciation, patrons get early access to new games and supplements that I write throughout the course of the year. Huge thanks for watching, it really does help out, and happy gaming.